Hello, good evening, welcome along to the JACKOCAR Cup Series. It is season 11, round 16. We are here, as you can see, in Japan for the start of the round of A. We've already lost two drivers from the championship, Yuri Hasselager and, unsurprisingly, Gareth Hall in Mexico. I wasn't even here last week, and of course I knew that was going to happen. So Gareth is basically finished forever, which is why I'm sure he's been bargaining for a season 12. But we'll worry about that later. I'm your content own Watt. With me, I've got Jacko as always, and you will be hearing from big man Matt Lester as well after the great success of him basically joining in with Jacko, who's bullying off myself last week. That's proven popular. High viewership. And yeah, we now got a third commentator, so hopefully that'll keep everyone awake tonight. Jacko, hello.
Yes. Hello, good evening everybody, good evening Owen, good evening Matthew Lester, and of course good evening, most importantly and first of all, to the Dua Lipa fan base. It is good to be back, isn't it? I believe we're up to 70,000 views now on a video that nobody directly involved with the league actually watched on championship night.
Not even you.
Not even me, and it was my great idea. So it's good to know that there are people out there that appreciate us, most of them in South America, I believe, looking at the analytics. So that's good. But here we are in Japan. And oh, what fun are we going to have this evening as we have a handful of drivers away and the two fastest guys on a Joker. Oh, we are in for a treat.
I mean, it has to be said, thanks to the success of the Dua Lipa video, that does technically mean that season 11 has seen the greatest growth of the JACKOCAR brand. So, I mean, I don't know what we're complaining about. It's been a massive success as we sit here with an 18-car grid, awaiting Dustin Rolko leaving the pits, which should be happening as I speak. And there he is, coming out of the pits. But, yeah, I'm sure something might happen tonight. We'll try. We'll try our best.
Yeah, but something exciting that is definitely going to happen is we have Matt Lester talking through his hot lap. He'll be giving us precise details of the gears and corner entry speeds as he goes through. So we have that to look forward to at 7 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Don't we, Matt?
We do, yeah. I'll be talking you through how aggressive I am with the gear stick.
Obviously, you've done a lot of practice as well, so it's going to be a quick lap time.
It's going to be up there. You've really got to expect me to challenge the top three here tonight.
Yeah. What sort of lap time do you reckon? Sort of 28s, 29s, somewhere around there?
If you didn't say a number, I wouldn't have had a number for you.
Right. Oh, I see. You're just going to leave us to guess.
Yes.
You're
brilliant.
Rapid, basically.
Yeah.
No hints.
Well, if you aim for a 28, 29, the rest will aim for Khalifa's 1 minute 25.8, which is what he said last time he was here in season 3.
He had me as well, because I didn't know that.
So yeah, Khalifa's not here, so maybe, who knows, maybe that'll be the time to be. But yes, only been here once in JACKOCAR Cup Series in April 2020. It was season 3. Khalifa was fastest. He's not here anymore. Janel won the race that season. He's not here anymore. Arnaud was on the podium with Khalifa and Janel, so he's the only one still here. And as we say every week, Arnaud should be the guy to beat, but something will always go wrong as per. But let's see how Dustin gets along on his first lap. Technical first sector, to say the least, and obviously when you've got a car that you can actually feel underneath you, it should be quite fun to drive. But you can see Dustin already struggling a little bit with his braking point towards turn 1. You can brake pretty late, and then you've got to have the commitment up the hill. If you hit the curbs too much, you will find yourself spinning, and that's definitely a conservative run through the first sector. He's remarkably slow, actually, has to be said, on board. But I mean, he'll get a time on the board as long as he stays valid. 32.4 through the first sector, and yeah, it doesn't inspire me with much confidence that he's ever driven this track before, actually, let alone practice. But coming through the hairpin, hitting the apex, which is what no one ever actually tries to hit because there's a bit of a dip in the road, and you can see that there was no speed coming through the exit, so people take the sort of wide line. Yeah, that'll be why, as Dustin almost goes into the gravel, actually, on the way towards Spoon, which again, he hasn't a clue what he's doing here, has he? As he comes out. up towards 130. Alright, this one's easy. This one's just flat out. You can't get this one wrong. And at the minute, his lap time sits at 1 minute 12.8. Hits the apex. There you go. He's got one corner right. And into the Casio triangle. The final chicane. Remember, there's a devilish bump on the exit here, which has been removed in the modern F1 games, but I'm sure someone's going to hit that bump and end up in the attenuator as Dustin gets into the 1 minute 29.5. So there's your time to beat Matt Lester.
And Owen, I will tell you an impressive stat actually, that the slowness that we saw Dustin go round there, particularly in sectors 1, 2 and 3.
Yes.
I find this, what I'm about to tell you, impressive. 63% of the races he's attended this season, he has had enough speed. So that's 7 of his 12 starts. He has DNF'd, but at least he's gone valid, and rather than invalid, or as they say in Spain, invalid, which is what some of these drivers are. Up to the line anyway comes Robin Border. He likes to put on a show. He generally crashes after Dustin, or with Dustin. That's a 128.5. And speaking of crashing out and invalidating, it is, of course, the great Michael Okeke.
Michael Okeke, who must be looking at this race as his last great chance of a victory in the JACKOCAR Cup Series. This is one of his best tracks, just in general. He was always a genuine threat here in F1 2019 and on F1 2020 as well. And I'm sure, Aston Martin hasn't had a bad start to the season. He probably hasn't had too much work to do. Maybe he's had some chance to practice as he heads through to the Casio Triangle. And he currently finds himself, 21 points off P9 in the chase. So, yeah, if he wants any chance of being in the Championship 5, this needs to be a good qualifying as he goes up to the top. He kept it valid, he kept it relatively quick compared to the other 2 lap times. We'll see how that ages throughout the session. Next up, it will be Florian.
They are progressively getting faster though, which is what this qualifying system was designed to do when we brought it in 5 years ago on this game. Of course, the OGs will remember Season 1, we had typical Formula 1 qualifying, and I thought, no, this is rubbish, so we replaced it with the 2004 style Formula 1 qualifying. And we've had some fun occasions, haven't we, Owen, over the years? Obviously, the Silverstone Short race springs to mind, which is actually next week. Silverstone Short comes back. But Florian ruins what I just said about progressively getting faster as he goes P2. We'll move on to Leroy Hazelager, who, before you take over, Owen, I have to check a stat very quickly. Oh no, this is his 98th Cup Series start, so he's getting close to the big 100. But overall, this is race number 125 for Yori's brother.
And as he comes around, they'll go quickest, will Leroy. I wonder who's got the right flag this week. Do you reckon Leroy's fixed it?
Well, Yori's not here, so Leroy's definitely wrong, as we have nothing to compare it to. And we can talk about the nation's flags because there's a big minute or so gap before we move on to Barry, who's still on his outlap.
Yes, I feel like we actually, just on the iconic qualifying sessions we keep having, I did forget that obviously Season 1 we did have the horrendous qualifying system where basically, for those of you who don't remember how it used to work with league racing, I don't know if people still do it actually in fairness, but what we did, the same all the way through ILR, was basically start the stream with like 10 minutes to go in qualifying and just guess who's on a quick lap. Because you can never tell who's on a quick lap. You just have to assume the person you're watching is going to go quickly. And we were okay at it. But yeah, it boggles my mind how other leagues haven't actually just done this system, to be honest. It's just much easier to follow every single lap. Everyone gets their screen time as well. As we watch Bazet kick off his lap. I'm noticing that both Leroy and Michael are crawling back to the pits, by the way. So it would appear to me that everyone's basically, as you would expect, putting minimum fuel in and promptly running out quite quickly. Not on their laps, but it's a potential for danger when people come to the end of their laps and come across slow cars, as Baza pushing the limits there. He's equal on points with Pete Knighton here in the chase. Sorry, did I take that one off you?
You took that one right out of my mouth. That was my next line.
Oh, dear.
Go on, you have the rest of it.
Yeah, well, yeah. So Baza, he got his second 7th place of the season last time out in Mexico, and I gotta say, I didn't expect Baza to be this quick, really, in the chase. I don't think that's disrespectful to say. I don't think he expected it either. He actually has really turned the form on in the last few races. And
goodness sake, Owen. You've taken that from me as well.
Well, it's my job. I meant to commentate.
Yeah, no, go on, carry on.
Jesus.
Great minds think alike.
Exactly. But yes, he finds himself equal on points with Pete Knighton, who is here, and he will be very much keeping an eye on the man in the brawn livery. It'd be good to have a bit of a fairy tale ending for him in that respect. Crossing the line only goes P4, but it could be worse. He's going a second of Leroy. And I'm going to stop talking, and hopefully you've got something interesting to say that I haven't already thought of about Mike Kelterborn, Jacko.
Well, good news. As it happens, Mike Kelterborn comes into this race in the chase only 12 points off Baza and Pete Knighton, which normally 12 points, you don't see that sort of gap recovered. Obviously, Corey did it many years ago, which got himself into the Championship 5. But with 5 races to go, if you will, everyone down as far as, well, Robin Border in P20, 26 points off. They're all still in contention, so this really is potentially going to be the closest chase ever as Mike Kelterborn goes P4. But now this is the man of the moment. Nostalgia, does it serve its purpose this season? That's what we want to know. Peter Knighton, Season 1, Championship 5, and champion, is looking to do it in the final season here, in Season 11. Well, obviously level on points with Baza is not what he would have wanted to do. He'd like to have come into this way ahead of him, but that hasn't worked out how he wanted it to. But can he finally get his hammer down here in the round of 8? That's a good start. P1 for me, Peter Knighton, as he closes the slow 10 drivers that we'll be seeing this evening as we move on to the fast ones. And in fact, there's a gap straight away before we get to Gareth Hall.
Indeed, which means we'll get to see the whole lap with Gareth, and it's nice to see that Pete is in the correct colours and it's already brought him the pace again. There's a stopped car out there, Mike Kelterborn, by the way. He's had an issue on the in-lap. Again, I feel like that's going to happen at some point where someone's going to come across a slow car and it's going to cause problems. But Gareth, he's out of the championship. He's basically just here for the hell of it now. We'll be hearing from him, I'm sure, in the Championship 5, and to be fair, probably even before then, as he closes out his JACKOCAR Cup Series career, assuming, of course, he can't convince Jacko to do another season. But
he's trying.
He's trying.
Is very trying.
I don't know what the point is, really, because he's not going to win a championship, is he, if he keeps getting himself knocked out in Mexico. Maybe we need to make Mexico the Championship 5. Maybe that's where
Owen,
we're missing the trick.
He's won our hearts, if nothing else, over the years.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll make him feel much better.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That he can comb the grey hairs at night knowing, well, at least they care. As Corey dances away with the championship this season, and Ben Shaw shows him the screenshots of Las Vegas, and even Pete Knighton shows he has a championship. The fastest member of Team Speed, he won't have that. We'll be back next season, he'll be trying again. But he's got to convince us that it's in there. He's got to go fastest tonight. He's got to show us that it's worth trying again, because, you know, insanity and all that, if you're never going to be quick enough, there's no point. So let's see if Gareth Hall can make something special happen in the next few races, and he would be, well positioned if he at least gets us on the front row in this lap. He's getting close. He's got there. He has got to the front row, so it's going well. And, well, Tony's next up on the medium compound tyres. I'm going to finish this lap off with him. We'll see how he gets on. But then after that, it'll be all down to Matt Lester. So, crossing the line, Tony, shock horror, goes fastest. Matt Lester.
Oh, Matt Lester's nearly at the wall. Oh, he kept
all over the road. Speak.
Now he can't concentrate.
Speak.
Don't do this to me.
You're doing it to yourself. Right, here's a quick bit. You can talk through this.
Okay. My voice is gone. My voice is gone. I'm all over the shop.
Oh, dear me. And we gave you like a good 10-15 minutes to prepare as well.
Oh, I'm whacking this car around like it's my chicken. Honestly.
Yeah, good analogy.
Yep.
No, I'm as slow here as the Tinder matches replying to me, if I'm honest. And they don't, so that tells you all.
And the ones that do are, I assume, as unstable as you as well.
Yes, but there's a couple of apexes for you.
That was nice.
I'll take anything but last.
Wow.
Yeah,
that
he's
was
managed that.
a really insightful lap from Matt Lester. It was really good to be on board. And from one imbecile to another, Kieran Spears on pads this evening. So this may actually be slower than that dreadful lap you've just seen. It might even be slower than Dustin's lap. In fact, that 1:29.5. Kieran Spears running the Force India car. And you speak about championships to gloat to Gareth Hall about.
Oh, yeah.
Owen. Here's the most undeserved of all, Miami Season 6 and Kieran Spears. Where does he put that car? P3, that's a solid lap. Fair play to the boy.
Gotta say, it's a nice livery he's got on there as well, which is not really his style, so I wonder why he's got that on there, but he's done a good job of it. As we see Arnaud coming round in the car that should really be on pole if he... I suppose he didn't have a kid, actually, last time he was on this game, did he? Maybe having a kid changed his driving, because he's just not been the Arnaud that we've expected on this game this season, and a kid's a good excuse. I'm surprised Gareth doesn't use it more often, and he does use it plenty. But anyway, I should stop making excuses. Maybe Arnaud will go fastest. He only has Tony to beat, and he set his time on the mediums, so it should be absolutely no problem whatsoever here. For the man, he has one win this season, currently sits outside the top 4 by 13 points, so could do have a win to get himself through to the next round with no problems. But he can't beat the man on mediums. He's gone second for now. Next up will be Jamie Wright.
Yeah, Jamie Wright. I don't believe he ever won here when we used to race on the old games, the old school JACKOCAR. But he certainly had to deal with Japan a couple of times on his way to his 2 championships. Another one of those who can gloat to Gareth Hall. Look at me. I have 2 Cup Series titles, the hardest of all the esports leagues to win. That is a well-known fact as Jamie Wright negotiates the final chicane. A little bit sideways, drifts out wide, recovers the car and up to the line. Ruined it at the end there, but at only P4, I don't think it would have been enough for pole. And it leaves us, Owen Wyatt, with 3 to go. And the first of those is Corey Dalton, who has been on top or last out in qualifying all season long, but missing out last week with his PS5 issues. He's now only 3rd from last out in qualifying.
I'm sure that won't wreck his lap too much, but we didn't actually mention before that Tony is one of the 2 Joker drivers, which is why he's qualified on mediums, because he's going to do a nice easy 1-stop. So if he can qualify on pole with mediums on a Joker, we might as well close the stream by the end of the qualifying session, because that'll be race 1 for him. Unless Jake can do anything about it, because he is also on a Joker. We'll see the end of his lap in a moment, but let's see how Corey Dalton does so far. 1 minute 9.7, that looks very much on target to beat Tony's lap. I think Tony was like a low 1 minute 10 when he set his fastest lap. Arnaud was around the same area, so as long as Corey gets his last corner right, this should go to the top, and it does. 1 minute 25.9, 1/10 off Khalifa's time in Season 3.
Get beaten, perhaps. This is Jake O'Sullivan, the man who has been on pole in the Cup Series 22 times prior to this evening. Jamie Wright. Oh, he goes. The 3-time Cup Series champion, Jake O'Sullivan. Can he bang it on pole here in Japan as he comes round the final corner? He used to complain about that bump, but up to the line he comes. It's P1, a massive lap for the Joker driver as he demotes Corey to 2nd and Tony to 3rd. Johannes, the regular point season leader as it stands. It's all very close at the top. Owen Wyatt to the end.
3/10 down is Johannes at the moment, so it'd be good enough to go P3. I don't think he'll be able to get the time for the final chicane. Jake was very good through there, and that's where he made the time out on Corey. But let's see where Johannes goes. It will be P3, and so it is. Jake O'Sullivan on a 1 minute 25.679, just under 2/10 quicker than Khalifa's last time here, who's on pole. And the 4-time race winner this season, could he match Corey Dalton's 5-point 5 race wins record, which frankly, with the way Corey's been this season, would be quite a massive achievement, because Corey has very much been head and shoulders above the grid. But on a Joker, you'd sort of have to look at either Jake or Tony for the win tonight. Like we say, Tony's starting on the mediums. He can make his stop whenever he wants, as long as it's after lap 3. But in fairness, with the way the stages are tonight, we're probably going to see quite a lot of early pit stops, because the stages are laps 6 and 12. So you may see a fair amount of soft tyre use. But here is the grid. Jake from Corey, Johannes, Tony, Arnaud, Pete, Jamie Wright, Kieran, Gareth, Leroy, OKK 11, which is higher than I feel like I've seen him all season, so fair enough.
Best guy all season now.
Florian, Mike, Baza, Robin, him, and Dustin.
And no invalidated laps.
Yeah, which a surprise actually, because they were really trying.
Yeah.
There was a few moments
on
there,
out.
especially you, man, with that swapper you got on the way up the hill.
Style points. Style points I was going for.
Yeah, it's good enough for 16th. So you've got to take that, haven't you? And also, Matt, we must credit you once again. I've just seen the live chat here. It's just dropped off again, but 11 at one point, which is the match what we had last week, which was the record we've had all season for viewers. So thank you once again for bringing the Matt Lester party with you.
Great age as well.
Yeah, it sure is. Of all the ages, it's probably a top 5 age for myself. Why has it gone quiet?
Don't really know. I feel like there's
focusing on strategy here. Sorry.
Oh, are you?
Distractions for
Yeah.
me, please.
What sort of strategy?
I'm looking at starting off soft, going hard, and then getting soft again.
Right.
It sounds like you're going to milk that strategy.
Sounds like a winning strategy to me, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice solid strategy.
No rain expected, I'm guessing. It's a very nice evening, it looks like, or maybe sunrise, one of the two here in Suzuka. So you may get a bit of the sun in your eyes at some point. So no rain coming from what I can tell.
I can confirm no rain is on the radar.
And yes, as we said, laps 6 and 12 for the Jokers, which is earlier than we've had this season, which a few drivers had mentioned. Means that,
I wonder why, Owen.
Well, you know.
When I was piecing the tweet together earlier, I obviously, naturally, I have to look to see who the Jokers are. And I looked and I thought, nah, I'm not having that. So I made them normal stage laps to hopefully try and assist everybody else and make it a little bit harder for the 2 of the 3 fastest drivers we have this season. They'll be unhappy with it, especially Jake, because you know what Jake gets like.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that Corey had a very favourable Joker earlier in the season when he obviously went and won it.
Well, this is the thing. I feel like regardless of what we do here, I think Tony being able to get that P4 on the grid on mediums is going to make this a pretty difficult race for anyone else to win anyway. Even though Jake's on pole, he's going to really have to get down the road here. So it'll be fascinating to see how he goes about this race. I'm going to ride on board with him on the formation lap as he nearly loses it up the hill, just to see where the sun's going to come in. So we'll be in the S section that you'll see the sun. Assuming this is a well put together game, that may well distract drivers, and actually look at that through towards the Degnas as well. If you're fighting another car, you never know. It could be a distraction. It probably won't matter, but it's always worth pointing out. We have 4 drivers who have chosen to start on mediums outside of Tony, who obviously qualified in them. They are Michael Akeke, Mike Kettleborn, Baza, and the other one. Why am I forgetting people's names? This is why Florian. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. I get him mixed up with Dustin all the time. But anyway.
Because they're German.
I know, these stupid Germans.
Of course, should be said, I must apologise to the good people of Germany last week for Matt Lester last week making an unduly comment about the Germans at the end of the Second World War. There was absolutely no need for that.
Did you see what Kieran was up to?
I did not.
He was mowing the lawn on the way down towards Spoon. I don't know what on earth had him over there.
That's one of my favourite dance moves, actually, the mow the lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, don't forget when you are mowing the lawn to wipe the sweat.
Good advice. Duly noted.
I'll leave that one. I'll leave that one open to interpretation. I'm just watching Gareth Hall, but anyway.
I hope Kieran's not
Japan. It's Jokers are Tony and Jake O'Sullivan. Stages are lap 6 and lap 12 because fuck them Jokers. It's JACKOCAR. Prime time. Well, not prime time. What is it? It's 19:45, as close to prime time as we're going to get. We're back in Japan, round 16. This is the opening of a free race stint here in the round of 8, and Owen Wyatt is going to give us 3 little words, not to quote Bob Marley, because that was birds.
I see. Well, here we go then. Here come the lights ahead of the drivers. It's round 16. It is the start of the round of 8. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing here in Suzuka. It's a good start from the pole man. As we see a big accident at the back, and it's half the field involved in this. VSC. Oh, look who's out of the race. How convenient is that for Matt Lester? Dustin's out of it as well. No, he's not. Florian's out of it. I see this is me getting mixed up again. And Mike Kettleborn as well. Kieran had a slow start off the grids because he was disqualified from the formation lap. And so I'm slightly suspecting he may have been the trigger of that.
It was Kieran.
So, well done. You've taken 3 cars out and you don't even manage to give us a safety car for it. So what was the point? As you've also damaged Baz's car, your own car. Dustin has got damage. Robin's up to 11th. Michael Akeke in 10th. We're back to green flag racing. Jake, unsurprisingly, held onto the lead. Corey's in 2nd. Johan is 3rd. Arnold 4th. Tony on those mediums had a slow start, so he's down to 6th place. And if you're Pete Knighton right now, holding on to P7 off the start, no damage on the car, things are looking good for him in terms of the chase, especially when you see, like I say, Baz has got damage. There's no Ben Harrett. Leroy's right behind, but already with a penalty, as a lot of the field already do, actually. Mike's out of the race, and Florian's out of the race. Basically, it's looking good for you, Pete. But I want to see what all these penalties are about, because, I mean, they're all 5-second penalties for contact, I assume, which means basically everyone from 8th down has been terrorised by Kieran here.
I'm sure that one won't go down very well post-race. But yeah,
it was already
Kieran.
isn't.
It was poor off the line, as you noted, Owen, but then he moved to the right when the pit wall was still there, but Florian was already up his inside. And what's Matt Lester putting in the chat?
Yes, yeah, you tell him.
So yeah, it's a long story short, it's Kieran's fault, and I imagine that won't go unpunished.
Honestly, it was as messy as a Thailand ping pong show. What on earth was that?
Do you know what?
You saw it firsthand, Matt Lester. Go on, Owen.
I was just going to say, this is not even the first time we've seen a start line pile-up here in Japan. I recall, I think, season 5 on a safety car restart in the rain. It was Matt Redmore, and it was a very similar sort of accident where basically it was just they were bowling down the main straight. So yeah, must just be a Suzuka thing. But yeah, what it does mean, Matt, is that we now have you in the commentary box all race long, and you know, maybe it's a happy accident, maybe we'll get demonetised. Who knows what's going to happen now? But we're very much looking for some entertainment now, as we see Jake being harried by Corey, who you'll very much be wanting to get past ASAP.
Yeah, of course, don't mention Harry in the commentary box when Matt Lester is here. There might be some sort of eruption. Isn't that right? Well, at least if I go off what Mr. Collier tells me, Matt Lester. And all I hear is laughter.
Detail. We won't go into detail about what type of eruption that'll be.
I think we can probably guess.
Gist of it, yeah.
You can get the idea, yeah. So, Corey chasing down Jake here. Will he be looking to make the move into turn 1 on the next lap with the DRS?
Well, this is the thing, he needs to get it done soon, doesn't he, really? Because he's not going to want Jake anywhere near the win here. I think it was him who mentioned, actually, in the chat, wasn't it, that it was very early laps for the Jokers. So I think he's very much aware there's a race to be won here by spoiling the Jokers' days, and he's burning his ERS in an attempt to ruin Jake O'Sullivan's day. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he maybe bumps him out of the way as well. Tony recovered to 5th on the second lap. He got past Jimmy Wright, but he's sort of now going to sit in no man's land, isn't he? Where he's got no DRS, and the guys ahead are all going to be basically doing their own thing. So let's see then. Corey Dalton, end of lap 3. He's got the DRS detection point. He's got the line through the final chicane. He's just about got over the bump, and rear wing will open. Surely he'll get into the lead. He's going for the ERS on the inside, and Corey Dalton leads here in Suzuka. Jake wasn't going to defend it, was he? And we already have a pitter in the shape of Leroy Hasselager, which is interesting. He'll take his 5-second penalty here, and let's say a lot of drivers got to deal with, so it might not be the worst idea to pit early, actually.
So let's get this correct then. Kieran's incident involved, as well as himself, 7 cars total affected by his antics on the start line.
I think it could be more than that. I mean, he took 3 cars out, but then there was 3 or 4 had damage and about 5 had penalties. All because of it.
That's shocking, isn't it?
It is really poor. Like, I think from Gareth Hall, well, it was Leroy in 8th place before he pitted. So well, now Gareth's there. So from Gareth down, I think only OKK and Robin weren't affected by that accident. So that means it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 cars.
8, wow.
Including himself, in fairness. So it's 7 other cars, but 8 including himself. So yeah, well done, Kieran.
That might be the single biggest incident ever, in terms of cars affected by one incident.
I feel like it equals Spa in season 1, because the thing with Spa is 8 cars did DNF, but that's because there was 2 separate accidents going on. But at the top of the hill, 1 or 2 cars got damaged, along with the 6 who were wiped out when TC stuck it in the wall very famously at the top of the hill. But yeah, it was very much on that level. But it's very much the big one. That's our big one for the season, probably out of the way. It's bound to happen at some point. So there you go. That's our NASCAR moment on a start line.
A shame it didn't happen at the front of the field, isn't it? And then it might have been slightly more interesting.
Yeah, might not have had a race left to watch after that, in fairness.
We are watching the front 4 just break away. Arnaud actually sitting rather politely with them, isn't he? Just sat back but not losing ground. There is, of course, Jake Johannes in the Corey Dalton train, or as I thought you alluded to him earlier as Bory Dalton, or did I mishear that? But either way, Bory would be correct with his 5 race wins this season. It makes me sick.
Indeed, it makes everyone sick, but that's why I think it's so remarkable that Jake O'Sullivan's actually, if he gets his Joker right tonight, he's going to equal that 5 wins. And actually, it's been ages since we were saying that Corey's been going for this 6th win for a long time. Because I feel like we were in round 12 and we're like, okay, he could win half of the regular season races. But he hasn't actually won since then because he crashed out that race in Austria. So I make that 5 races a Corey win, right?
I think you're correct, actually. The next Corey win would be number 17. But another Jake win would put him on 23 all time. So Corey going, remember he threatened he would go to the top of the all-time wins list. That is now out of the question, which I think we're all thankful for, because it would be undeserved.
It would be indeed, but he's gone for the undercut here on Johannes, effectively. Johannes has stayed out, Corey and Arnaud are pitted. Corey on the softs, which isn't a surprise with how early the stages are. Arnaud is going to go long, though, on the second stint with the mediums. But if Johannes can do anything on this lap, lap 6, to get ahead of Jake O'Sullivan, there could be a playoff point in it for him. Incidentally, since Jake O'Sullivan took pole position, he now leads on points in the standings because he was level with Corey Dalton heading into this, so now he's 1 ahead. And if he wins this stage, he'll be 2 ahead. So that's always worth pointing out. I'm sure Jake will know that as well. As a 3-time champion, he loves his stats, doesn't he?
Sure does.
And I think he is going to hold the lead. And even if Johannes passed, I think Johannes will be more focused on his pit stop, frankly. Corey in 8 seconds of clear air, so you'd expect he'd be well clear. He was already ahead, but he could well break DRS by some distance with this call. So all going well as Johannes pits. Jake has got the point for the first stage. He may well even get the point for the second stage if he can get the tyres long enough. We'll wait and see.
You know what? I don't think anybody would be mad with a Johannes win tonight either. If he can make the strategy work, that is. Of course, he had that streak of 7 P2s in a row. Maybe a couple more Johannes wins this season would have made it slightly more interesting, I dare say, as we have been searching for a formula to make it interesting. I can happily share with the Dua Lipa fans this evening that me and Owen were mentioning before the stream went live how we are expecting this to be a dull race. Kieran gave us 3 seconds of excitement, which is all he's good for at the start, and then beyond that we've had nothing else, unless Matt Lester can come up with a one-liner out of nowhere.
Corey's got a penalty. That's not really a one-liner, but that's interesting.
It's also not Matt Lester's voice.
I know, sorry.
How are you finding it, good sir?
No, I was going to say the spread of the field is like Harry's cheeks when my name is mentioned. So it's pretty wide, pretty open, but strategies are split. So maybe towards the end of this race, we'll see a few come together a bit closer.
Oh, we've got
Jake says
Baza
that
off. He's doing donuts in the gravel trap here on the way through the Dunlop curve. Don't know how he's ended up out there really, unless he's had a snap like you did in qualifying, Matt. But it's left.
Me?
Yeah, but it's left.
Yeah. Stream caught it.
we did indeed catch it, but yeah, it's left Baza struggling there, and yeah, we were on about his points and how good it was going, and of course I've jinxed it, haven't I? Unless Pete finds the wall at some point, which does tend to happen, but we're only 8 laps into it. Plenty of time for it to go wrong yet, as long as Baza stays in it.
Hang on, Owen.
Yes.
Because I think you'll find it's 178 races since
yes.
found the checkered flag. I thought I'd mention that. He can find the wall, but he can't find the checkered flag. And of course we come into this season with so much hope of him being back to his former best. We've not seen that. We saw glimpses, but shockingly enough, he's only led 1 lap this season, which is really hard to believe, especially how good he was early on. But he is hunting down Jamie Wright here into the hairpin. Maybe some excitement can come from this, as Pete Knighton, as it stands, leads the chase.
Yes, leading the chase. That we didn't. Well, obviously we did rig it. I know you were going to say we didn't rig it for him to win it, but it is good that at the very least he actually is winning it, because then we at least get to either celebrate and win the championship, or more likely laugh at him when it goes wrong. But he should be qualifying for the Championship 5 in Australia, all being well. And he's going to show that championship prowess now as he comes around the outside of Jamie Wright, who doesn't push him off. That's very unlike him. He's just let Pete Knighton go through there. I wouldn't have that if I were you. And you let him have the DRS too. Who are you and what have you done to Jamie Wright? Where's the aggression, man? You're still in this championship too. Goodness sake. That was pathetic.
A lot of history between those two.
You wouldn't think it.
No. I'd tell you what, when I do think though, and it's a dangerous thought, I think of Brazil season 3, when it was Pete versus Khalifa versus Jamie Wright for the race win. Was that season 3 or was that season 1?
I think it was season 3, wasn't it? Because it was Pete who was basically on his down turn at Thorn,
to win.
And Brazil was quite high up, but then he got a penalty, I think, at one point, and basically he got a bit salty and decided that the best way of defending was to physically hit everyone off the track when they went near him. And so we did, and it was great entertainment. So if you haven't seen the end of that race, season 3, Brazil, it's definitely well worth a watch, because it was worse than Kieran's start. We'll go with that in terms of what a mess.
Oh, I don't know if it was worse than Kieran's start, but he did something that Matt Lester enjoys, and that was he near enough physically manhandled Khalifa and Jamie Wright in that race. It was a great watch, actually. I felt like a cuck.
Any
And it's
thoughts?
silent
Matt?
again.
You awake?
I love Matt Lester's professionalism through all of these commentaries. He's a funny man, but he just the laughter gets the better of him.
As does the silence as well. Good contributions this. So what have you done in this race so far? You've crashed. You've had a shit qualifying lap. And that's it.
Owen, where's your professionalism gone? Come on. Gonna demonetize.
He's not had it for 5 years.
Stream. Dua Lipa fans are crying now.
I feel like Dua Lipa fans are well used to a bit of inappropriateness.
Yeah, have you seen what she wears?
Have you seen what she doesn't wear? More importantly,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
very
it's
good.
disgusting. Don't send me any of those pictures if you have any.
I've got loads. I'm more than happy to share as well. Jake O'Sullivan, by the way, pits this time round.
that's a bit boring, isn't it? So he's going to lose that next playoff point because Tony will definitely stay out. Corey has a second penalty as well, so that's really not helping his case. And Johannes is all over him as well. So Johannes putting himself in the frame here because he is going to undercut Jake, as is Corey, because they've had a few laps on the fresh tyres. So the only issue they have is that, of course, Jake's going to the end, but the gap's already about sort of 3 or 4 seconds, so not too bad. You can imagine on new tyres towards the end, Johannes could close these guys down, so we'll definitely keep an eye on it. But yeah, Johannes is looking strong here, which is good to see.
Don't mind me, Owen. I'm just catching up with the chat, and I don't know what this says, but it is German, and Florian sent the message in, so I will read it to you, and then I'll give you my English translation. Mike, warst du schon kaputt, als ich am Ende in dich rein bin? So what Florian said there was, Kieran, sorry, not Kieran, Mike, did you see that crash? It was kaput. Also, Kieran needs to get in the bin.
Your German accent's really improved.
It's really
Thank
good.
you. Oh, do you want me to do my original one?
I don't think that's necessary, really. I mean,
Okay. Well, as you were then, I'll leave it.
yeah, you know, we can give a compliment these days without losing the monetization. FIFA still currently suing us for what we did in Jacko Ball last season with various incidents. As we watch Johannes not actually overtaking Corey, he sort of caught him and then sort of sat there. He's out of VRS, they're both out of VRS, so they're just sort of following each other, which is not really what we signed up for. Come on, do something. I cannot believe Kieran taking out half the grid didn't bring out a safety car, by the way. I know we complained about it, but it is becoming a serious concern that in this game, a safety car can come out for no reason, but a 7 or 8 car pile-up is a virtual safety car last half a lap. Who made that decision?
Not sure if you saw last week.
I did.
But we were absolutely crying.
It was
safety car.
It was a desperate scene. I know. I was watching it, and I feel your pain because we've been here for 16 races this season, and it's very quickly becoming apparent that the thing just doesn't want to come out for anything.
It's not the only thing that doesn't want to come out, Jacko.
Well, what? No, you've got me on the spot here, mate. You can't be like that.
So I'll let you do it on your own terms.
Okay, thank you. I owe due respect that you are going to give me my own privacy. You actually caught me off guard because I was trying to add a certain Florian Meyer to the instant submission page, as it has been confirmed that Kieran is getting reported. It might come as a shock to many of you.
What sort of a penalty can he get here? Because he's obviously sat in the elimination zone, and if you take out
hopefully
8
death
cars,
sentence.
If you get, I mean, the thing is, right, if you take 8 cars out, sure, that's at least a race ban.
It's quite a lot of cars to take out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite bad,
there's
isn't
no
it?
dumbing that down. You only got a look last week. Sullivan got the race ban for, suiciding himself into Jamie Wright. I don't think suiciding is the correct word, but you get the
That's
gist
just what he
of it.
did.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
By the way,
so, yeah.
while we're discussing that, just before I forget, Tony has now got a stage point.
Well, round of applause for Tony, or do none of us particularly care that much?
About what?
Tony getting a stage win.
Yeah, I just don't really.
For 1 second. Yeah.
I mean, we've got to say it because it's got to go on your stats. But apart from that, I don't think anyone cares.
No, it's another playoff point towards. To be fair, Tony actually needs it because he is a bit further behind compared to the other three. The other three being Corey, Johannes, and Jake.
Yeah, but in terms of actually being in the top 4, he moves now to being 14 ahead of Arnaud, who he's ahead of in this race anyway, as Corey makes his second pit stop. So, and he's ahead of Jimmy Wright as well. So really, the top 4 are sort of already placing themselves in a pretty good place to be qualified for Australia before they know it, which isn't really good for the dramatics. But oh well. I did interrupt our discussion on what we're going to do to Kieran. Matt Lester, what would you do to Kieran? Because obviously he took you out, so you're directly involved in this.
Well, I know he's a big EastEnders fan, so maybe I'll just burn Phil Mitchell alive and make him watch, really.
While he's on a race ban, so we'll stick him on a race ban, stick him in front of an effigy of Phil Mitchell.
Yeah.
Then we'll go from there.
Phil Mitchell wearing his really small Ferrari hoodie.
Delightful, yes. Tell me more. Currently sits 11th, does Kieran. He's none the wiser to how much of a catastrophe he has caused. I bet he'll come in after the race and say, "What do you mean it was me? I didn't do anything." He always loves playing the victim, doesn't he? So there's no way he's going to take any. Look at the way he's driving.
What line?
What the hell is he doing? I know he's on pad, you said, right? But like, come on, it's pathetic.
Well, what did you say he was doing on his warm-up lap? He was
mowing the lawn on the way up towards Spoon, similar to the way he did to the hairpin, except he was a lot further off the track, to the point where he got himself disqualified from the formation lap.
So his brain-dead driving on the warm-up lap has contributed to the death of 3 drivers.
This is it, yeah. That's what I said, yeah. I said basically he's got cold tyres, didn't get off the line, killed everyone.
Collateral damage, if anything.
Yeah. He's probably earned himself a P11 for that as well.
Just to semi-change the topic, and don't worry, it's not professional. As you can see, Robin Border Pits. There's the professionalism you're going to get. He was in the party last night, the JACKOCAR party. And I might have misheard. I like to think that I didn't. Yellow flags. Jamie Wright's out of this race. I take it all back.
We've got a safety car, folks. Jamie Wright.
My story.
Absolutely superb. I mean, thoughts and prayers, but thank you. Saying that, Tony, well, actually, he can't, can he? Because you can't make your mandatory stop under the safety car, can you? So.
No, that is a new rule.
So you're in
Justin
trouble, aren't you?
Rolko does exactly that. And he was not already committed. So that is a non-mandatory.
So those who had already made their correctly done set and stop is Corey, Johannes, Leroy, and Robin, who was pitting just as the safety car came out. So these 4 suddenly are in quite a nice position.
And I'm looking at this. Arnaud, Jake, Pete. These are non-mandatory stops.
Jake's, of course, is fine because he already made his first stop earlier in the race, but he still comes out behind Corey Dalton.
Can you note these down, Matthew Lester? Because I'm keeping my eyes on it.
Johannes, by the way, as well, is making a second stop for a fresh set of the soft compound tyres. I suppose he was going to lose track position anyway, wasn't he? To Jake because of the safety car.
No, Johannes was fine. So, Gareth, Kieran, Pete Knight and Arnold,
Have done
and Dustin.
non-mandatories.
Yeah.
That's, I think, Johannes. What Johannes has done there is basically he'll just give himself some fresher softs because, as you say, he'd already done his pit stop strategy, and he was going to be behind Jake O'Sullivan really anyway within a couple of laps. So you might as well get as fresh a set of tyres as he can on the car for the restart because he knows he hasn't got any penalties. So at the very least, he'll probably still have a good chance of finishing second here.
When did Corey make his other stop? Then?
Same time as Johannes, I think.
Same time, yeah.
Oh, is he? So he's all safe then.
But he's got like 6 or 9 seconds of penalties though, so he's in a tricky position with that.
So really, the race has fallen the way of Jake O'Sullivan because Tony cannot pit legally under this safety car.
Correct.
Arnold and Pete are going to be disadvantaged by having to make another one or being disqualified. Corey Dalton with his penalties. OKK needs to make another stop, but is doing okay. He's actually net P2? 3, I guess, after penalties. Johannes, net P4. Leroy is there in genuine position.
I'll tell you what, actually, this is a very good situation for him. I know he's on the hards, which is not really very quick at all, but it is a legal pit stop that he made to get on him. I'm surprised, actually, he didn't just go and stick a set of softs on or something, because the guys who made illegal, quote-unquote, pit stops around him would still have to make a legal one anyway. Just the reason I'm saying that is because obviously he finds himself 11 points behind Pete Knight, who will have to make an extra stop. And so this does give Leroy a chance, if he can hold position here, of creeping into the top 4 or 5 and closing the gap to Pete, if not, even overtaking him if Pete finds a wall to hit. Matt Lester, are you falling asleep yet?
No, I'm still here. I was just having a look at where Basil was. I've seen that he is lapped, and he is sat there behind Tony.
Yes, he's actually just overtaking Tony, is he? I know they can, like, the race leader can put himself on the grass or something to let the leader through, or to let the lap card through, but I'm imagining instead he'll probably just pit at the end of the lap to get himself out of the way.
Tony's actually got 2 cars in between himself and Corey, because Dustin is there as well. So,
an old
Corey
Jack.
Not be too happy.
Yeah, an old JACKOCAR rule is that any lapped cars between lead lap cars have to move out the way either before the final lap, which this is, or pit when the safety car comes in. So Bazza, I expect to get this right. Dustin, question mark. So this could be very interesting. And if Tony follows a safety car in, it is non-mandatory, as with any of them.
Right. Let's keep an eye on the restarts, because obviously after Canada, we're obviously very much keeping an eye on these now, because people do like to cheat a bit. Was that all good to you, do you think, Jacko? We went at the bollard on pit entry?
I think so. I was actually focusing on Dustin, who has stayed in the way, so that's a penalty to him. Bazza pitted. But yeah, I can review the restart in a second of Tony. I'm sure it's fine though.
What does Jake O'Sullivan do then here? Because he's got a chance here of getting past Corey. However, Corey has to pit again, and he's going to get past Dustin now. So that makes it maybe a bit more difficult for him to have a go at Corey, as Arnold also gets past Dustin, and Dustin's in a really tricky spot here. The yellow flag for Robin.
Oh, he almost takes out Pete Knighton. Wow. And somehow Johannes snuck through as well.
Pete's got himself a penalty here, but now Dustin's holding up Leroy, and OKK was there side by side with Johannes. Johannes ahead of OKK. He's having a relatively strong run. But up at the front, Tony we're expecting him in at the end of this lap, really, aren't we? I mean, what else can he do? He can't risk another safety car coming out. It'll give him less time to make up the difference that he'll lose in the pit lane. So let's see. He'll pit this lap, I would have thought, and then that'll leave really Jake O'Sullivan versus Johannes. Johannes has the 3 cars or 2 cars in between himself and Jake. So really, this is Jake's race to lose as things stand, and it would be indeed a 5th victory of the season coming his way, because Corey's just got too many penalties. I think he's not going to make the gap, and Tony speeds into the pits as well. That's not going to help things for him, is it?
Nope. It's nice and easy now for Jake. I don't know if he knows about everybody else around him, but provided he keeps everybody, there's everybody behind him, isn't it?
More concerningly, I don't know if everyone behind him, I don't know if everyone behind him remembers the rules, because it is obviously a recent rule brought in Canada. But I mean, does everyone remember that they couldn't make the set and stop? Obviously, Tony did, but you know, you got Arnaud and Pete who must maybe think, oh, we're in a really good position here. I hope they don't think it's legal. Johannes coming through and nearly hitting the back of Pete Knighton. That was a sketchy one, that. And he's on the ERS. He wants to get past him.
Haven't we?
He wants to get past him ASAP.
Struggled in traffic.
Oh, he's not going to go into Spoon, but he's used so much ERS he almost has to. He's just wasted a load of ERS doing that, has Johannes. But he looks like he's got good pace, and he's going to use even more ERS. He's still not going to get past Pete. Why has he used so much ERS? That felt very lazy, really, to use all that and then not even get the overtake done. Pete used plenty to defend, but I feel that wasn't exactly ideal for Johannes. Now, if Corey can stay in the lead, I'm suspecting he may start to play some games. Will he start backing Jake up in the first sector, try and cause a little bit of mischief? Because he knows the only way for him to win this race is for Jake and co to get quite a lot of penalties. So is he going to try and manipulate things a bit here, do you reckon?
Hopefully, but of course, what do we really gain from it? If it's not a Jake win, it's a Johannes win. And here he goes, actually trying to look at the inside of Pete Knight, and he's all over him.
And in all this, they're catching the leading group, which is why I'm suspecting Corey might be backing him up a little bit, as Johannes has another try on Pete, because they're fighting too much here, and yet they're catching the lead. Even Gareth is getting there. He's 1.5 seconds away from it. So, yeah, I do wonder if Corey may start to slow the pace down a little bit. We'll see. I hope he does, because it gives Jake something to worry about. And yeah, this could well be a situation you end up seeing in the Championship 5, where you're suddenly having to back people up for your own gains. So this isn't a bad time to start mucking about with that sort of thing, as we get towards the last 7 laps here in Suzuka. Tony down in 10th place. He currently finds himself 19 seconds off Corey. Everybody else has a 5-second penalty to take. 19 seconds off Jake, because Jake's obviously right on Corey as well. So yeah, he's not going to get anywhere near the win here unless a big miracle happens. Speaking of which, oh, I was going to say, Johannes has got past Pete. He's had to get him out of the way by sort of giving a wee shove through turn 1. In fairness though, Pete did stick his nose back up into turn 2. I think it just got as aggressive as it already was, in fairness, but I think Johannes had enough. And he's up into net 2nd place. 8th, 2nd place, so you know, take your pick.
Yeah, he knows all about that place, doesn't he? Pete cutting corners now as well, all over the grass in Degner 1. Gareth looking the more controlled through there. Of course, he's not really playing for anything now, just pride, being knocked out last week. Tony ahead of Rageman.
How many people ahead of Leroy have to pit then? Because again, he's just minded his own business. He's 8 seconds ahead of Tony. That'll probably get called up by the end of the race. But I mean, he's looking good here, isn't he? Because of what? Gareth, we think, has to pit, right? Kieran maybe has to pit.
Yep.
Pete, Arnaud.
Was that a yes? Hang on, was that a yes, Matt? That's to Kieran. Yeah.
Kieran, Gareth, Pete, and Arnold.
So Leroy here. I mean, he's actually got 12.5 seconds on Tony, because of Tony's 5-second penalty. If Leroy just keeps this clean, he could be finishing P4 today, which I think would be a season's best, and that really throws him into this fight for the chase. As we see,
pitters.
The pit stop's happening.
Pete, they know.
And through goes Leroy already into P5 on track. I mean, if Corey keeps racking up penalties, it could even become a podium, but he's quite some distance away and on quite a slow tyre. A late safety car, though, and I'll tell you what, Leroy could very much be in for a serious result. And Pete Knighton, he may find himself looking over his shoulder at yet another driver in this chase campaign, as you say, Jacko, is looking like it has potential to be the closest ever.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, obviously Pete has now pitted, but had he been disqualified, Leroy finishing P4 would put him in the lead of the chase. Actually, no, it wouldn't, because Baz is still running down in P12. P12 is what, 5 points? So yeah, Bazza would lead the chase by 5 points. However, forget all of that, because Pete Knighton has come out P8. So what's that? That's, oh my god, 9 points there. So he'd have a 3-point lead over Bazza as it stands. Chase is safe for another day for Pete Knighton.
Yeah, but we're only at the halfway point of the chase when we get to the end of this race. You got Silverstone Short, we haven't raced there for a very long time. Russia, haven't raced there similarly for a very long time. The France Super Speedway, never done it on this game, has moved for the lead. Oh, and there is contact as Corey bumps into the side of Jake O'Sullivan, and he's tried to give him trouble, but Jake's got through. That's vital. That's pretty much the win in the bag, isn't it? Unless Corey can try and throw something back, but it looked to me like he was giving it everything already, to be honest.
Yeah, Corey, I thought for a second he was thinking of sending another one up the inside of Jake, and then thought of the bigger picture for the greater good, and that is why you like that one.
That's good.
Thank you. Thought of the bigger picture, and then thought, no, you know what, I'm going to give this race to Jake, because I will have another chance another day. But of course that would put Jake and Corey on 5 wins each. There is a bit of excitement here, you know what, with 5 laps to go. Still waiting on Arnold to pit. And who else, Matt Lester? Dustin? Dustin, I think, has made another stop.
Yeah, just Arnold. But keep an eye on the gap. Johannes is joining this party, so there's a bit more spice, I think, to come in these last few laps.
I would have agreed with you if Corey had held on to the lead. I just don't think Jake's going to lose out now. Corey has to launch a serious attack here in towards turn 1, but I don't think he's got the grip or the energy to do it. Let's see though. He'll certainly give it a try if he can, but I just don't think he's got enough. And Jake, he's got that vital position he needs. Also, I mentioned about Johannes' energy usage before. He's now also completely out, and he can't catch them up now.
Yeah, he's catching them in the middle sector, and then when it's coming to the long straights, he hasn't got the energy to keep up.
Just to finish my thoughts there on the chase, let's say we had the halfway point, but yeah, the next 2 tracks, Silverstone Shore and Russia, the 2 tracks have not been on for a while, so that can really throw up a fair amount of chaos. Russia in particular throws up a lot of chaos. We've seen it many a time here, including Pete Knighton himself actually getting wiped out of a race here dramatically once to lose himself a place in the Championship 5, I believe, as Kieran puts it in the gravel up the way up the hill, just to compound a terrible day. Then the other 2 races at the end of the chase. 6 laps, and Monza again, chaos in previous seasons. So yeah, very much all up in the air. Championship 5 is looking a lot more routine, it has to be said, with Kieran having a shocker of a day here and Ben Shaw not being here. Jimmy Wright out actually as well, in fairness, so I suppose there's a bit of drama there. But Arnaud making his last pit stop, he'll probably be around where Robin is at the moment, so he'll get himself a decent gap. So yeah, that's sort of where we are championship wise, really.
Yep, all to play for. And of course, you know, anything can happen on a championship night. We've just got to get there. And even though it could be as simple as it's going to be the 4 fast guys, the lottery of the round of 6 really could throw anything in the air, couldn't it? You know, an Arnaud win could knock Johannes out. It could knock Jake out. The France Super Speedway could even give a win to the likes of a Baza or a Matt Lester, perhaps. Not that that would change any of the results. Or how the
Sorry, who's laughing? Sorry.
What's funny about that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I was deadly serious.
It's a Leicester type thing.
Just wanted to point out, by the way, that Tony has actually passed Leroy, and he will pull 5 seconds on it, I would have thought. So actually, Leroy's probably going to finish 5th, which is still pretty good. I'm pretty sure it's still his best result of the season. I think it was 2nd in Monaco, but this would be obviously better than that, assuming things don't go really wrong.
Hold on, has Corey got a chance here? Corey's brought the gap down.
He sure has.
He wouldn't fly one into turn 1, would he?
I don't think he's got the speed. It's so disappointing, isn't it? But there's nothing he can do. Do we know how many warnings Jake O'Sullivan's on? If anyone can check that, just in case he goes and makes a mistake. Because if he gets a penalty, Johannes is with 3 seconds.
Outside of Arnaud's DRS zone, he's fallen back, so he's on for another P2.
Arnaud, who, by the way, has to pit this lap.
Tell you what, an Arnaud DSQ would be detrimental to this playoffs because it would make it even more boring. Because he's the main fighter against the others, isn't he?
He is, isn't he? It would mean that maybe the round of 8 would have a good ending, no, because it means that, well, basically no one from 5th to 8th will get any representative points. Kieran's probably going to have his points ripped off of him tonight and disqualified and kicked out for the next race as well. So really, no one's getting any points. As Corey, hello, look at this, all over the back of Jake Sullivan. Oh, go on. Oh, you know you want to. Yes, go for it. He's got him wide. He's setting him up. Jacko, you've got a line to say.
Just the one line this week.
Hurry
it's
up.
1 lap to go in Japan. Here we go. Corey versus Jake O'Sullivan to turn 1.
Arnaud's in there as well as a freeway scrap. Arnaud's been disqualified, but through goes Corey, taking the lead on Jake. Now what does he do? Arnaud, we're pretty sure, did not make a second stop. That was a mandatory stop. He made it under safety car, so he will be disqualified. Corey, great driving, taking the lead. But Jake now just has to stay calm, I suppose, and hold on. But I tell you what, Arnaud, it would have been a bit like Mansell and Senna back in the day when the man with the black flag goes and takes out a big member of the race, because that was very, very tempting for him into turn 1.
What's that about big members? Silence on the last lap here in Japan. I'll commentate myself, shall I? It's Corey Dalton leading the way from Jake O'Sullivan. Arnaud, who's not actually a part of this race anymore, and Johannes, who's on his way to another P2 through Spoon Curve. There you go. We're trying to big this up like it's exciting, Owen Wyatt. Are you back? I hope you are.
Oh,
Yellow flags flying. PK's out of this race.
For why? He was finishing in the top 10. He was actually having a good race, and he's gone and got himself in the wall. Typical, isn't it? Here comes Corey then, out of the final corner. He'll cross the line first, but he's got 6 seconds of penalties. This means Jake O'Sullivan matches his 5 wins for the season. Johannes is back in 2nd place for the 8th time this season. Corey will complete the podium in 3rd place. And Tony, actually, is only 4.6 ahead here of Leroy. So if Leroy has a good final corner here, he may actually pick up P4. Let's see. Coming across the line, it's going to be quite close. Leroy's got P4.
Yes!
Big result. Very big result. So Tony will be 5th. Robin is just holding off Gareth Hall, is he? No, Gareth gets him on the line. He had him on penalties anyway. So Gareth is 7th. Robin's 8th. Pete Knighton has disappeared. He's lost half of his front wing. And so he will stay P9. That's a big points difference, Leroy to Pete. Big day. If you're Leroy Hasselhager in this chase campaign, he has very much come alive. What a strategy on those hards. The slowest tyre of the lot, but he's made them work. Kieran, Fat chance he's going to keep that P10. He's going to be sent to death row, I think. Directly from the cockpit, frankly. The handcuffs will be waiting for him. Michael Okeke will still be 11th, despite crashing out, as Bazza comes home in 12th. And it'll be Dustin to finish the race off in P13. One of
Dustin
Kieran's
did make
many
another
victims.
stop. So Dustin is a legal finish, and his P14 is actually, or P13 is actually a P11, I think.
This is it. It all actually gets bumped up, doesn't it? Because of Michael crashing, which means he doesn't count, and Arnoud, being black flag, which is actually Bazza. Despite all the hell he went through, he ends up in sort of P10, doesn't he? Actually, let me just read you the order, because I sort of stopped counting properly, didn't I, after Arnoud? So here's the order. Jake, Johannes, Corey, Leroy, Tony, Gareth, Robin. I feel like P7 may be very close to his best in the league, but I'm sure Jack can check that. Pete in 8th, Kieran 9th, fat chance of keeping that. So perhaps even Bazza 9th. I'm giving him the DSQ, because I'm sorry, I know I'm not a steward, but he's been DSQ'd. So Bazza will be 9th, Dustin will be 10th. I'm the steward now. He took out half the field and ruined the race. He doesn't count. He's not here. Michael, he crashed out at the end. He doesn't count. He's not here.
Yep.
And Arnold
Spot
obviously
on, Owen.
doesn't count. He's not here. He didn't make the mandatory pit stop.
It does make Robin, you are correct, P7 his best result this season, and I believe possibly all time in the Cup Series. Oh, I've got to take pictures of this. I totally forgot. But you can talk, by the way. You don't need to.
Yeah, so I'm just announcing that Kieran's being sentenced to death row in the chat.
Oh, I see. Well, any words of wisdom from Matt Laster then? I'm sure there are plenty.
Always got plenty to say. No, yeah, it's the end of the race. It came alive, and I think Jake Soft's just died off there, and the medium runners of Arnoud and Corey came back at him. So obviously penalties and disqualification for Arnoud has affected it, but yeah.
How was your race then?
Sorry. Why did I laugh? Sorry, I didn't mean that.
Did you actually get to the start-finish line, or had you already been taken out by that point?
I don't even think I passed the pit exit.
Yeah, it's a shocker, that is.
It's
Only ways up.
I would say what I put in the chat, but I'm not going to. We've already been demonetised, I think.
Yeah, just a little bit. But Corey having to now explain to Arnoud why he's been disqualified. So yeah, Arnoud, really, he's forgotten the rule. It was bound to happen eventually, but do you know what, actually? We came here this evening with no expectations. Most of the race was pretty uneventful, but actually, that wasn't too bad. So...
You know what, Owen? Yet again, you've taken the words out of my mouth, because I was going to say that was not a bad race in the end. But you've already said it, so there is nothing more to say. You may as well end the stream. Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, many thanks to Jack and many thanks to Matt Lester. And we'll be back next week for Silverstone Short, which should be interesting, I hope, since people haven't raced on it for a while. We haven't commented on it for a while, and when we've been there in the past, many chaos have happened. So, we will see you
there, Owen. Before you end that stream, was it like a 37-second lap or something?
I think it's more like a 50-second lap, but it's still pretty short. Or maybe not, actually. No, you're right, because it does cut... Do you know what? I can check the TT leaderboards. Let me find out how long a lap around Silverstone Short
But this is all on stream as well, so everyone's going to see your setup and your best times.
Well, no, I don't actually have to go into like the TT lobby. Well, you'll see my time, sure, assuming I've set one. But let me look at the leaderboard. I'm in position 0 with with a 43.8. The global leaderboards are a bit messed up because apparently I'm not even top of the world. I'm 0th. Saying that, I've no idea who actually is top because I'm slower than the top time by 6/10. The top time in the world, apparently, with only 6,000 players, sounds very unlikely, is a 43.2. So yeah, expect 43s, I suppose. What about the friends list? That's more representative. Tony is quickest. Oh, for fuck's sake. Right off. Oh,
Don't worry. You can't do that in a JACKOCAR race.
He certainly will try. Well, that'll be us then. Thank you all for watching. That has been Japan. And I'm going to go and watch that first lap again because I think that was a catastrophe. So, we'll be back next week. Safe travels. Look after yourselves. Cheers, Matt, for being here. Shame you crashed, but oh well. At least you give us some good comments, I suppose. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, we will see you next week. Safe travels. Cheerio.